Okay, good morning everybody. We have passed basically a quarter of our unit already. So this is the fourth week of the process modeling and optimization. Okay. In the first week we have overviewed in the introductions, and then on the second week we have developed the distributed the LAM model. Okay, and then on the third week we have come into the first part of the steady-state LAMP model. Okay, so don't forget that this week we will have our take-home assignment that will run on Friday for 4 hours. Okay, and I would like to encourage everybody to be active, like your friends who start setting up time to meet me when they have something that they want to confirm regarding the project one, and we are happy to do that things. At the same time, I would like to ask you to help me on the check-in survey, so that will be good to have your feedback on the unit delivery so far on the process modeling and the process control. Okay. So hopefully none of you are struggling with the process modeling and control so far. So in this week, we will continue our discussions on the steady-state simulation of LAM model. Okay. The difference this time is that instead of dealing with linear one, where we basically go into all the metrics and the processing, now in here we are dealing with the nonlinear equation. So we start in here with the one-dimensional nonlinear problem. Okay. So we start with the simple problem first, solving a single nonlinear equation in one unknown. For example, if you are asked to find the value of the temperature at which the heat capacity will be equal to 1 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin, then what essentially you need to find is you substitute the CP1 in here, and then you do mathematical manipulation. Then you know that it is basically we have the same problem statement with basically getting the value of the t that makes this ft is equal to 0. So this one is 0.716 minus 4.257 times 10 minus 6t. So if we find out the solutions, the temperature that makes these functions of temperature is equal to 0, that will be the same with solving the problems where we want to determine the temperature that yields a value of the heat capacity of 1. Okay. So what kind of methods that we can use to solve this particular problem? There are several methods that we can use to solve this one. The first one is called bisection method. The second one is the regular falsi, or what we call linear inverse interpolation. We can also solve this using a direct substitutions and Newton method. Okay. So what is the half interval or bisection? So this one is basically a straightforward derivative-free method, because in here we're basically just cutting the interval into half. So if we consider a monotonic function fx shown below, which is continuous from fa to fb, and then we want to find a value of the x that makes this f function is equal to 0, then we need to solve these equations in here. Okay, we know that the root of equation lies at x equal r. So what we do is basically we choose a point x equal a and x equal b, such that the function's value of a having a different sign with respect to b. So if a in here is negative, then we find if the functions of the a when we substitute into this f is negative, then another one should be such that the value of the f in that particular point becomes positive. So you have to choose an independent variable such that the value or the dependent variable becomes having a different sign. Okay. Then what you do is you determine the midpoint of the interval, point C. So if after you you find the half of that between a and b. You put in the value of the c into your functions. If the function of the c is the dependent variable is negative, then that will replace the previous independent variable that give the value of negative. Okay, so you repeat again, then you will go closer into the root. Okay, so this will be better if you see it in terms of the example. So let's say you have this kind of functions. Okay, you take in the first one xl in here, which give you that you put it 50, which give you a value of minus 4 point something. The other one is giving you a value of 0 point something. Okay, then you take half. So this, you start with this, then you take the half of this. Because the value in here, the value of the functions in here is negative, then this will replace this one. Okay, so then you find the half of this one. Again, you go into here, and because this one is positive, so that replace this one. Okay, so that will keep on going and going and going, such that your error is less than the tolerated error. The functions that is drawn in here is according to these particular functions in here. Okay, so what will happen if we want to solve that particular problem of the CP is equal 1 in here that we define in here? So these are our functions, right? So what we do in here is you need to look into the additional materials that you have. Let's start with 400 and 600, because 400 will give you negative value, 600 will give you positive value, right? Then you find the midway or the half points between 400 and 600, which is 500. Then you substitute this 500 into these particular functions. You find that that one is 0.099. So as a result, no, this one is 0.041. So this, you notice that I put in the underline in here in red, meaning this 0.041 will replace this 0.099 as the new limit. Okay, then this 400 is in here, 500 is taken from this one, it moved into here. Then you calculate the midway, the midpoint, which is 450, and this 450 is positive again. So this 450 will replace 500. Okay. Then after you calculate the midpoint 425, you find that this 425 giving you the negative value, right? So this one will replace the 400, this limit in here. Okay, and this continue, and as you can see that this gets closer to 0. Okay, so what we need to do is just basically halving the interval that we have from the beginning. Now, this can be done easily using a tool, MATLAB tool. We call it F0. Okay, so the hit TM in here is basically defining these functions in here. So this week's slides is very good for you to have an understanding into the basic MATLAB. Okay, so these functions in here, you need two MATLAB file. This MATLAB file in here is a function MATLAB file. This MATLAB file in here is a driver, basically. Okay, so this one that we call F hit T is basically these functions in here. Okay, it has one input, which is T. The T can be anything. So if you put it into the common prompt and if any particular value, then this will calculate what is the value of the F, basically. Okay, you can see that this F is equal 0.716 minus 4.257 multiplied by T multiplied by minus 15.04 divided by the square root of T. Okay, you need to make this function first in here, and then you pick an initial guess. The F0 in here is a toolbox in MATLAB that, given for any particular functions, it will calculate you the independent variables the value of the t in here that will give a value close to 0, but you need to give it an initial value. So the initial value that we give in here is 400. Okay, and the bisections will give you a value of 443.5712. Then you may ask me, sir, if you told me that that this F0 is using a bisection, that means in the previous example, you need to find two initial values, one which give you the functions negative and the other one that give a function value positive. Why I only need one in here? Because actually F0 is not only relying on the bisection method, but it also uses a different algorithm to calculate the root of that particular function. So if you want to find out more in details about the F0, what you can do is you can type in help and then a space and then F0 into your MATLAB. Okay. Now we go into the next one, linear inverse interpolation, which is the regular falsi. So this one is similar to the bisection method, except that the new estimate of the root C, shown below, so this one, is found by linear interpolation between the points BFB and AFA. So we can use the principle of similar triangle. So the similar triangle in here is meaning this triangle in here. Okay, should be similar to the triangle in here. So if we take the length in here, C minus A, okay, that will be this B minus C. That should be equal to 0 minus FA in here. And that should be equal to this minus FB minus O. So this is just equalizing the dimensions of the triangle. Therefore, if you use this equation, you solve for C, you will get this particular equations that you use instead of bisection, which half your interval. So what happened in here is, like I told you again, it will be easier if you redo the calculations by yourself again. Okay, you first find the value that will give negative, the other value is positive. Okay, then instead of halving the interval, okay, you use this particular formula in here to calculate the value of the C. But all the logics are the same with this particular logic in here. So because the function value of this C is positive, so meaning you replace this B with C. So this C will go in here. Okay. Then this one is positive again. So you replace this value 455.55 with this 444.5. Okay. And so on and so on. You get it up to this point. It's quite straightforward, right? Okay. We have defined the value of the heat in here, right? So these are the MATLAB method that applies the algorithm of the regular falsi method. Okay. This one is created by Matthews, if not wrong. So what happened in here is that this one is a function. So you need to provide that any particular functions, and then you need to provide the A. The A is the initial value. Okay, A and B should have a different sign. Should give a functions on a different sign. Okay, and then you need to provide a tolerance. Tolerance in here is what kind of the error that you want to tolerate. Okay, meaning from the value of one iteration to the other iteration should be less than that tolerance value. And then max in here is the maximum number of the iteration, because as you can see in here, we will iterate the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, and so on and so on. Okay, so we need to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 input arguments. Therefore, the code in here is if the number of the argument input is less than 4, meaning you provide only 3, 1, 2, and 3, which you provide is the functions A and B, then it will automatically set the tolerance and the maximum iteration. Okay. If your number of argument input is 4, which means you supply these functions with the function A, B, and the tolerance, it will set you the maximum iteration. Okay. Then it will start in here with the iterations. I at the first it's equal I equal 1, and then it will set the tall flag is equal 1. Okay, while I less than max, meaning if your I is less than the value of the max that you put in here or that is provided in here, which is 1000, and the tall flag is equal to 1, then everything within this loop will be executed. Okay, this FB in here is the function evaluation of the function set B. So this will evaluate the value of the function. The function that you put in here will be your hit in here, right? It will evaluate the value of the functions at the point B. The point of B is anything that you put in here, okay? The value of the A will be the function evaluations of that functions at the point A. Then it will use this C in here, the formula in here, to calculate the value of the C. Then it will do the function evaluations of the functions that you put in at the point at C. Okay. If the sign of the C is equal to the sign of the A, then A will be equal to C. Okay, like what the logic that I give in here. Okay, so if your C in here is giving you a function that is positive, then it will replace the previous independent variable, the previous 600. It will replace 600, and you're gonna put it in here. Okay, so I'm going quite slow in here, so to give you a MATLAB understanding on the code. Okay, else, meaning if the sign of the C is of course not equal to the sign of the A, then the other one, B, should be equal to the C. This is built on the assumptions that the function's value of the A is having a different sign with the function value of the B. Okay, if not, then the logic will not work. Then this will next calculate if the absolute value of the function evaluations of the function C less than tall, less than 0.000001. Okay, then the tall flag will be equal to 0. If this tall flag equal to 0, meaning you will go out of the loop, because in the beginning you said that this one is equal 1. So if this tall flag is no longer equal to 1, if you set it equal to 0, then this loop will be surpassed. So you will go out of the loop. Okay, and then this Ti equal I is basically just like a recording point in here. Then this Xi is equal C is recording the value of the C for each iteration. Then this one is increasing your value of I. I is equal I plus 1. So after one iteration, then the I will be increased by 1. Then goes into the next iteration, then it will increase by 1, it will increase by 1, it will increase by 1. And if our tall flag if our value of the function evaluation is less than 1 exponent minus 10, then this loop will be broken. Okay, and if your I in here is higher than max, then of course this loop will be broken as well. And then the next one, what we will do is we will plot the T against the X, and then we can put in the title and the X label. So what happens is that we can run in the command prompt, we put in rect false. Which one is our function? Our function is the one that has been defined in here, right? The hit in here. We have defined this, but of course this we need to save in the folder, in the same folder that we save with this particular function file. Okay, you put these things in, then you will get the answers is this. So this will capture the value of the C with the iteration number. Okay, so everybody get it up to this point, or you have any questions? Do you have any questions? No? Okay, so we put in here, next slide in here is a case where basically we have a bisection versus regular Farsi. This one is a rather special case because in most cases then regular Farsi would give you quicker result, quicker convergence, meaning with the less iterations you can already achieve the final answer. So in here, you see that the iterations using the bisection is becoming quite fast. So after 5 iterations, you can reach a very low error. Okay, whereas with the bisections in here, the iteration is very slow. So you can see that this is the problem because for each of the bisections, you move very slowly to the root value, the value of the independent variable that give you a functions of 0. Okay, so this is because of this situations where we have the f. This one is basically converges quite slowly into this particular value because of the line in here. Okay. Now the next method that we can use is the direct substitution. So direct substitution strategy can be used for the equations of the form x is equal gx. Graphically, the solution exists when the curve gx crosses the diagonal as shown below. So, okay, so if you have this function, it will go through here, go here, go here, go here, go here, then it will converge. If you have a direct substitutions where this, you will go up, go here, go here, go here, go up, go there, then it's going into a value that will diverge. So then what are the criterion? What is the criterion to get, if we decide to use a direct substitution, then what is the criterion? So the criterion is that if it has to converge for if the derivative of the function gx with respect to dx is less than 1, it will diverge if the derivative is higher than 1. So these are the examples. Okay. So I have given in the additional materials again in here in details. This is direct substitution. So the functions in here you can use two mathematical manipulation method. In the first mathematical manipulation method, which is this, you can get this term, which is t equal to this term in here. Okay, and then you can calculate the derivative of this. If you calculate the derivative of this, you know that at the initial value of 600 and 400, you see that this is higher than 1. Then I can also find another way to express this particular function in terms of the x equal gx or t equal gt. So if I put these things in here, I can also do the same thing. I can calculate the derivative at two different values, which is less than 1 in here. Okay, so we know that basically using this particular form of the direct substitutions, we can get converge this one, whereas in here we will not converge. Okay, so I think this should be clear, I think, from this particular point. I think the last method that we will discuss is the Newton method. So the Newton method is a widely used derivative-based method for a single nonlinear algebraic equation, which is illustrated below. Here we want to solve fx equals 0. So we calculate the slope of the derivative of the fx. So what we use in here is a first order Taylor series expansion. So like what you get also for your process control, but in your process control, you're basically dealing with the Taylor series expansion for the linearization of a nonlinear function of your ODE, ordinary differential equation, right? So what you do in here is you just use the first term expansion. You don't really care about the higher order terms, and then you equalize this equal to 0, and then you manipulate this such that this will give you a b is equal a minus fa divided by the derivative of the a. So if you look at it graphically in here, How did you get the B? You get the B is basically you get the value of the A, and then you need to calculate the functions of A, the function value of A, and then you need to calculate the slope of that particular functions at A. Okay, then what you get is basically the increment between here and here, so that B is basically equal to A divided by the FA divided by the slope of the of A in here. This one is a method that has been very widely used in modeling and in many other simulations as well. If you are dealing with the nonlinear equation, the advantage is the rapid convergence. This disadvantages is that it requires computation of the derivative and can be very sensitive to initial guess. So it may blow up with poor initial guess. Okay, so these are the examples. If you apply this particular method, then what you need to do is you can calculate analytically the derivative of this one, derivative function of this. Okay, then you can calculate analytically how you get how you connect the new value with the old value. If you use 600, you will get this. If you use 400, you will get this. So these are very quick. Not that in reality, not everything will be able, you will be able to derive analytically a function. If like this, then this is very easy. But if you cannot, then what you need to do is using a numerical method to do the differentiation. Okay, therefore you need to use a finite difference. So in here we have a MATLAB code that's called the tanh_m. The way it is working is about the same with the regular falsi. So you need a function. You need the initial value of the independent variable that will make your functions equal to 0. This is the initial value, and then assume you have the tolerance and you have max. The difference with the regular falsi is that it only uses one initial value in here. Okay, so you have 4 input arguments that you need to put in. If your number of the argument input is less than 4, it will automatically set the tolerance as equal to 0.00001, which is 1 multiplied by 10 raised to exponential minus 6. Okay, the max iteration it will define as 1000. If the number of the argument input is 4, then it will set up the maximum iteration as equal to 1000. And then it will make a matrix consisting of 1 until the value of the max, basically. So if this is 1000, then it will be 1000, a factor of 1 until 1000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until 1000. Then this will use looping for I equal I until max. So if you put your max is 1000, then this will do roughly 1000 times iteration, which is not really recommended in MATLAB because MATLAB is not very good at handling the looping. But instead, you can choose to do these things in terms of the matrix. But for the sake of showing you a simple code, then we just stick with this for loop. Okay, then it will calculate the value of the x1. Okay, what we do in here is basically we calculate the definite difference using this particular value in here. Okay, and then this one is the x2i, is basically calculating this new value of the x2 of the x. Okay, so this, if you see these things, that it will be equal to this particular things, which is that this particular terms in here. Okay, because we are doing these things in terms of the affinite difference. Then what will happen in here is that it will calculate the it will keep in each value of the iterations in terms of the t, and then this will also plot make another matrix 3 from 1 until the iteration. If the absolute of the next value, if the difference between the new value with the old value is less than the tolerance, then we will break out of the looping. So the method that this break out of the looping is different with this logic in here, with the regular Farsi. Okay, in regular Farsi we break out by setting the tol flag is equal to 0. In here, if the tolerance or the tolerance in here is defined by the difference between the value of the new with the value of the old value less than the tolerance, then this will come with the value of the break after keeping the after processing after recording the value of the x2. Okay, and then we also get the value of the x0 is equal x2i. Then finally we will plot this particular value of the x2. Okay, you can see that the quick change is happening as we go from the first iteration to the second iteration. Then after that, then the change quite marginal in here. So only in 5 iterations we are able to find the value of the temperature that makes the heat capacity equal to 0. Okay. So anybody has any questions on these 4 methods before I continue into before I continue our discussions? No? No questions? Now, the slides in here serve to show you that we will have a problem in the Newton method if we come with the particular functions that the slope is approaching 0, because as you can see in here we are relying on the slope in here. Okay, so at this particular function, for example, if the slope is almost reaching 0, then we will go into a very far value that is far from actually the value in here 1, that will give you the functions of equal to 0, because we are relying on the calculations of the slope, right? Well, the y is not number of the argument input is less than 4, not equal to 4. Well, you can put it equal to 4, but it's probably for some reason he just want to make it a default as 0.000001 in here. You see, there is no particular reason for this. I think the coder just like to put it like this. Of course, you can change this code if you want to use it. If you put it less than 3, also okay, should be no problem. If you put it less than 3, that means you have to provide the tolerance and the maximum as well, which is the same, I guess. The way that the coding is writing is very specific for different persons. Okay, nothing can be explained. I mean, I would not be able to read as well why the coder will have it like this. But the main important thing is that you can make the code work and you understand how the code is working, and you can hopefully modify the code to do what you want. That's the most important thing. If you'd like, you can put this thing into the MATLAB and change it into less than 3 as well. That should not be a problem. Okay, you see. So we have another several cases where, imagine we take this x0 in here and the slope will make us go into this particular point, and then when we go into these things, then the slope will make us go into this particular point. So this is something that will make the applications of the Newton-Raphson becomes very difficult. Okay, and then this one as well, where the value, but basically all the things in here is related with the slope. If you are dealing with the slope value where it's makes it close to 0, then we will have difficulties. Then we use a Newton-Raphson method. Now, if we do that thing for the linear equations, then that's quite straightforward, right? The questions will be if we are dealing with the two nonlinear equations or more than two nonlinear equations. So what we can do in here is we can write in the vector notations. Okay. The best way to solve these things is using the so-called Newton-Raphson method, but we extend these things to multidimensional problem. And to calculate the derivative, we will have to use a Jacobian matrix. Okay, and we truncate the nonlinear higher order terms in here. And because we truncate only up to the first order term, meaning we can proceed by iterations as well, iterations one by one. So this is how in how the derivations of the two equations and two variables. For example, you have two unknowns in here, x1 and x2. What you can do is you expand two-dimensional Taylor series in here. Okay. I will not go into the details, but you can check my derivations in here and ask if there is anything that are not consistent. If we truncate and then we equalize this equal to 0, this one equals to 0, we can get this one, and then we can define the correction variables as this. Okay, then we can obtain this particular equations. In the matrix form, this can be written as equal to this. Okay, that means we can find the value of the correction variables 1 equal to this, the value of the correction variable 2 equal to this. Then the new estimate can be obtained by adding the correction factor to the previous estimate in this way, right? I think for our next lecture, I will just go and discuss this particular example. This will not take so much time. So I think I've already finished the almost, I think most of the materials for the week 4, and I think I will conclude it in here. You can go and check these additional materials as well. Okay. Any questions up to this thing so far? Alvin, Amanda, Clarence, Eva, James, Jason, Jonathan, Juliana, Chising, Michael, Taha, Usman, Chelena, Tiffany, Yusi, Wong Yo, Racing. Any questions? Anything that you want to ask on the MATLAB code that we have in here? Because this MATLAB this week is the best week, I think, that we go into this MATLAB code to give you a little bit of explanations on how the coding works using the MATLAB. Okay. Anything? No questions, guys? You don't have anything that you are confused with on so far so good? No questions on the MATLAB code. I hope everybody started with the project 1 ready, because up to this point then it should be quite quick already. So it's best that you start start working closely with your group members on the project 1 and start asking if you have any difficulties. We can set up a time or a meeting to discuss your project 1. Okay. If not, then I will stop the recording in here. Okay.